Good morning and welcome to worship. Today we are doing a special focus on Nigeria. Why Nigeria? Mostly because my summer reading included a book about the Presbyterian Church in Nigeria, and well, I just want to share it with you. I think the witness of Christ, the experience of faith that come from Christians around the world, has a lot that can inspire and motivate us here in Canada. There's this pitfall in our churches where we sometimes feel like we're isolated, like we are the only Christians for our community, or at least the only Presbyterians. So it is good to remind ourselves that siblings in faith across the globe are also working with us. We do not labor alone. The mission of Christ is shared from Taiwan to Hungary, Cuba to Ghana, Canada to Nigeria. This book I have here has been sitting on my shelf for decades. It's called Of God and Maxim Guns, Presbyterianism in Nigeria from 1846 to 1996. And it was published in 1988 by Jeffrey Johnson, who was once the Director of Pastoral Studies at Presbyterian College, Montreal. I can't remember, but I think I must have got it from a retired minister when I had started in ministry. And I thought, I'd read it someday. Well, earlier this summer, there was this request posted on the Presbyterian Facebook Marketplace group asking if anyone had copies of this book. Apparently, the church in Nigeria was requesting it. So before I ship this book off to Nigeria, I thought I would share a little bit about it with you. Because our focus is Nigeria, for the sermon, we're going to be hearing a conversation that I had with a minister in our presbytery who is from Nigeria, Reverend Elkanah Shakira. He mentions briefly the lectionary reading that you will hear this morning. It's the continuation of the story that we heard last week. King David had committed a crime by assaulting Bathsheba, and then he tried to cover it up by murdering her husband. So in today's reading, the prophet Nathan confronts David and then gets him to confess his crime. One of the reasons that this is a significant story to hear is because David was the greatest king of Israel. Everyone loved David. And were this any other king for any other nation, he would have been idolized, with us only hearing the good and heroic stories. But the Bible story won't let us idolize a king, no matter how successful he was. David was human and faulty and got corrupted by power, like any man would have been. It's a reminder that we do not place our faith in kings or in politicians or even ministers. Our faith is in God alone, who is the only one that is truly faithful in all times and places. But we'll hear more on that in the sermon interview with Elkanah. One more thing. Presbyterians in Nigeria dance. So if one of our hymns today gets you swaying a bit, I invite you to lean into that. Let's worship.